So I'm now going to move on to the size 2 petals, and we're going to create 10 of these of this size. So in exactly the same way, I'm just going to roll out my paste on my veining board. And making sure that it's really nice and thin again. Just line up your petal and cutting with a generous amount of space again. And this time it's, as you see, it's like a smoother shape, so we're not going to add the extra detail at the end. So I'm just going to cut around this. And then if there's any bits you just need to kind of smooth out, you can just go ahead and do so. And I'm going to use the 28 gauge wire again. So again, it's cut into quarters. And just dip the end in a bit of egg white and then insert it into the vein. And then we're just going to thin the edges again. Again, just be careful not to ruffle too much because you want them to be fairly flat. And then using the same veiner, just want to lay your petal carefully into the veiner, just trying to smooth it in as you go. Give it a really good press. And then using the same soup spoons, I'm just going to lay the petal into the soup spoon to give it that lovely curved shape again, just like that. And I'll show you a couple more. So I'm showing you how to make a really full appearance for your Coral Charm Peony, as they typically do have that really full appearance with lots of petals. But if you wanted to slightly simplify it, whether there's sort of budget constraints for the wedding cake or something, you wanted to create a simpler version, then you could just reduce the petal count slightly. And you'd still have a really nice looking peony. But I'm going to show you it with a really full petal count. So we are making, so we're making 28 petals for ours. As I say, you can, when you're making it up, you decide you don't want to use all of the petals, you don't have to. Or if you're just trying to save time, then just reduce the number a little bit. But I always think if you can get into a bit of a production line, then you can speed these things up a bit. I'm just going to smooth out some of these slightly wiggly lines. So you can get various petal cutters for peonies, but I've never been happy with my peonies when using the sets of cutters. They never seem to be the right shape for the right type of peony, so that is why I've created my own, just freehand ones. It does take slightly longer having to cut them out by hand, but as I say, you do get that nice sort of difference in the shapes of the petals when doing it by hand rather than having them totally uniform from a cutter. So it gives you a slightly more natural look, I think. So again, with the wire, I'm going sort of just below halfway up the petal. I'm just going to thin them out again, just really concentrating on the edges and trying not to frill them. So as coral charms open up and as they sort of get further along in their lives, sometimes the petals go a bit more frilled, so you can experiment a little bit if you wanted to, but I think it's easier when you're learning to get the shape if you're not having those extra frills, because you'll find that the peony will just form into an easier shape to manage. So if you can keep your petals just with the curve rather than the frilled edge, it will really help you get a nice cupped shape that the Coral Charm Peony has. If you find that your edges are frilling a bit whilst you're thinning them, the best thing to do is just focus just inside the edge to help bring it back to more of the cupped shape. Now put them in my trusty veiner. So again, I'm just kind of easing it into the spoon shape as well to make sure that it's really nice and curved. I really love the veining detail that this veiner has. I just haven't ever seen one that has such a natural vein effect for the peony before, so I do really love this cutter, for this veiner rather. this is the last one. So I've made 4 now. I'm going to carry on and make another 6, and that would be my 10 for this petal size.